that's cute. Like, we are not doing a coffee shop.
I'm like, you remember that dream? Like, that would be on the square. And she was like, oh, I remember.
God, is this something that you want us to do?
Chelsea, it means king of all. Like, it's like your dream.
Like right away, like things are just going boom, 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 boom.
It's like someone's trying to tell us something.
It's like, if we ignore this at this point, like, what are we doing, you know? Hey guys, welcome to the Coffee Snob Podcast. Thanks for checking us out. This is all about our journey with the Lincolnville Country Store, Blackjack's, and now we have a new location. That's what we want to talk about today. It is called King Coffee. It is in Stephenville, Texas, in the historic downtown square. We are so excited about this location. This is like the baby that was kind of like a surprise, but now we're like, hey, we got a baby and we're super excited about it. And you know, we're gonna tell you all about how it happened, how this dream came about, and then all about fleshing it out. So yeah, come along, come check out the podcast. Let's go.
Well, I think that it's really, it was actually a dream.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't just a metaphorical dream, it was an actual dream.
yeah.
And let's see here, this started becoming an idea like in late January, and then
No, so in
dream-
summer of 2023, I had a dream.
Yeah, but the dream was way before that. It was
Yeah.
months before
Yeah.
we actually considered any of this. So, we're trucking along real nice. We got the Lincolnville Country Store. Sarah's got Blackjack's. Everything's nice. It's peaceful. Where things are going like they're supposed to go. It's just like, it's good. We got good employees. We're taking care of business. And then Chelsea has this dream. Tell us this dream.
So I had this dream, and in the dream, we had a coffee shop on the square, and it was called King Coffee. And there's already a business on the square called King Title, and I was kind of like, I don't know.
That's weird. Yeah.
I don't know if I would name it that. But in the dream, I had my car, and on the back of my car, I had 3 decals, and I had a jack on the left and a fan in the center and a crown on the right side. And I woke up and I was like, oh, that's cool. And so I told Lance about it. I told Sarah about it.
Yeah.
And
So Chelsea has a lot of dreams, and like she tells me about them. So I'll wake up in the morning and I get like the rundown. Oh, I
Yeah,
had this dream
I had
and
this
it was
dream.
about this. And she tells me this dream and I was like, that's cute. Like, we are not doing a coffee shop in Stephenville anytime soon.
yeah.
Just put that one to death. Thanks.
What'd you think when I told you the dream?
I mean, I thought it was cool. I think, like you said, that like we're just going along, everything's fine.
Everything's
but I think
nice.
It's more like
Let's not mess it up.
we're juggling so much right now. Like y'all are juggling home and coffee shop, and I have Blackjack, and I'm like, and we're like, don't you add one more thing?
Yeah.
I know,
So-
but I'm like, I don't know what to do with this dream. Maybe it's like 5 years out.
So yeah, she kind of shelved this dream, and like,
Interesting.
it was cute. It was exciting. It's fun to think about. Yeah, but we're not doing this. Okay, we're not going there. We like what we're doing right now.
Right.
And we're just kind of getting our hands around it. Like, I'm just getting the people in the store that I need. Things are just getting to where like they're starting to get a little more manageable. I think at both stores.
I think Sarah actually said, like, I'm finally not drowning.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was everybody out of COVID. Like for 4 years, everybody's like,
Yeah.
and just trying to get their head above water. And we're like, oh, we can breathe now. Let's keep it that way.
Yeah.
We had this dream. My immediate reaction was like, no way. Like, let's just do what we're doing. King Coffee, But then, I don't know if you know this. Well, you know the story about Blackjack's because you've seen it on a previous episode. If you haven't, go check it out because it's really similar to this story. It's strangely similar. So, her brother, which is our partner on Blackjack's.
We asked him to be on this podcast, but he's like, I like the background.
Yeah, so we'll just...
But thanks,
we'll
Joe.
Yeah. So he comes to us. He has properties. He has commercial properties in town. He has a vacancy, and he says, "Hey, now would be a really good time to come to Stephenville because Tarleton's growing, the city's growing, rent's just gonna go up." So he said, "Why don't we look at doing this now?" And I think me and Sarah both were kind of like, I don't know, like
I got my hands full.
it's cute. I don't know. And then I just
He
thought,
really started approaching us in December-ish.
He probably
late
asked me for a
November
month.
2023. Okay.
Yeah. And so I'm thinking like for a month, he was kind of like, "Hey, y'all come check out this building, come see this place." And then finally I was like, I'm just gonna go see it and see what it's about. And about at the same time, I feel like people started coming to the store, and employees, I guess in that fall, that it was like things started to get set up here in such a way where I could kind of take a step back. And all my people were like, I want hours. So I was kind of giving them hours, and a lot of times I was coming in as like as an extra person. I was coming in to do orders. I was coming in to do like things kind of off the floor. But I was like cutting myself down to like 3-4 days a week, you know? And so I was getting some extra time to do stuff at the church. I was meeting with people here and there. And so things were like getting a little free for me, and the people here at the store were getting really developed, and they were wanting more. They were wanting more responsibility. They get to this point where I feel like they become competent, and then they get to a point where they're like, hey, what else can I do? You know, what else is there for me here? They start kind of testing this water, and I was like, man, like I could really see this place running itself, although I really like being here. So I don't want that to happen, but at the same time, like it's to a point where it probably could. And then I started stepping back, and I'm like, man, like unintentionally like started replacing myself here. And I feel like, you know, anytime I get good people, I just accredit it to the Lord bringing me good people, because I'm not always looking. People just come. And so I started getting all these great people, and I'm like, Lord, like, what are you doing? And same thing with Blackjacks. I'm asking the Lord and acknowledging Him in everything that I'm doing, or I try to. And so in this, I was like, God, is this something that you want us to do?
What's really fun too that you didn't bring up, but Sarah kind of came out of a season of really just kind of hanging on for dear life. We had a lot of kind of just turnover, but not for any reason other than people were moving on in life, or they're graduating college, or whatever it was. And it was several of those, and we were hustling, and it was the holidays, and then just kind of coming out of that. And then she got to go to Australia and do some things. And then it was like after her Australia trip, she was like able to dream again.
Yeah. You just come out of that, keep your head down, survive, and then you're like, wait, there could be more.
Yeah.
Like, and you know, you're more excited. You know what I mean? You're just not trying to get through. You know. Yeah. So yeah, just coming out of that season.
So then we're considering, because my brother is like, hey, it's time to come into Stephenville, and then we have to sit down and pray and really consider that, like, is this something we want to do? And we already knew that Sarah was at this place, that she was ready to dream again.
Yeah.
And that she was able to, for expansion of some kind. So that was exciting.
Yeah. So that's a whole nother thing that was just almost giving us this alert that, like, hey, it's time. And so I said, Lord, if this is something that you're doing, then I'll surrender to that, and even though I don't want to, I will move forward with this if you want me to. And so it was really like I started to get this strange peace about it, and then this strange prompting to go, like, now's the time to go.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I set this up. That's why I put this in Sarah. Like, that's why we're moving forward. in all the things that are almost unintentional.
Yeah, so then we go look at this property that my brother has available, and it's fine. Like, it could work. It's kind of small, but we're used to small. We do good with small. And it's just about a block off of the square. And so as we're talking about it one night together, I was like, do you remember that dream I had about that we had that about King Coffee? Do you remember? And he was like, oh yeah, I remember that. And he was like, yeah, babe, I mean, it's like right there. It's right like a block off the square. And so I was like, huh, but it still wasn't the square, right?
Yeah. And so the place isn't, I mean, it's good and it'll work, but I didn't feel like it was ideal. Like she said, it was kind of small. My vision, and I think Sarah's vision going into Stephenville, is that we wanted to come in and we wanted to be big. We wanted to be a place where people could hang out. We wanted to be a place where we can have open mic nights. We wanted to be like a hangout place with space. And so that was kind of like I'm willing to sacrifice all of my ideas and my plans to you, Lord. I'm just going to move forward with what you have. And so about the time, and it always works like this, about the time that I'm like giving him this, he takes it out of my hands and then he plops down something else in my hands.
Yeah.
And that's just what it seems like. And it's like about the time that I was saying yes, a friend of mine calls me and says, hey, you know, this business on the square is moving out. And it's like the big time historic building on the square that everybody knows about. It's called the Rexall building. It was an old like soda shop pharmacy from back in the day. And they're moving out of this building and they're gonna be looking for somebody to take their place. So I thought, you know, this could work. I'm just gonna see. And so I told her brother and said, hey, I wanna see what the rent price is, because you know, we've got this rent price that we're gonna be moving into this small building in. What if it's similar? What if the price is similar? I know it's gonna be way more, but what if it's not too much more? And so I said, I'm just gonna go check with the guy and just see.
Yeah.
And so a mutual friend who knew the business before, I text him, ask him for the contact. I mean, in 5 minutes, he emailed it to me, added us both on an email, said, hey, this is Lance, this is the landlord. I just wanted to get y'all together. He's interested in coming look at the property. And so like right away, like things are just going boom, 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 boom. And I think like in a few days, I had an appointment with him to come look at the building, to check it all out, and then to talk numbers. And I get with the guy finally.
They're great people.
Yeah, they're super awesome folks.
Sweet folks.
And you never know, you know, with a landlord, it's kind of like, you never know if they're just going to be like this tyrant that's in it to squeeze every penny out of the building, or if they're going to really work with you. And so, man, immediately I met him, I had a good feeling, and I was just like, man, this is going to be really good. So
shortly after that, I'm telling Sarah, like, maybe not off of the square, but on the square. And I'm like, you remember that dream? Like, that would be on the square. And she was like, oh, I remember. And then we talk about it one night we were at like a women in business meeting, and then go to sleep. I wake up the next morning and I have a text from Sarah.
Yeah, I was at work. I forget what I was looking up online, and just thinking about, you know, what if it's the Rexall building, whatever. And I knew Chelsea's dream about, like, it was going to be named King Coffee. And I was like, you know, knowing the Lord, Rexall means something. And so I'm like, what does Rexall mean? And it means king of all. And I was like, oh. So I'm like texting Chelsea. I'm like, Chelsea, it means king of all. Like, it's like your dream. So
and Rexall's like, it's on the building. Like, we can't take it off. There's a historical marker. Yeah. It's gonna say Rexall forever. Yeah. It's just gonna be with our sign. And so that's a whole other thing, is like, it is the Rexall building. You know, moving forward, we're thinking King Coffee. We don't know. At this point, we're thinking Blackjack's is going to move over to the square, and it's going to be Blackjack's downtown Stephenville. And so I'm meeting with the guy.
Well, expand to the square. Yeah.
And so I'm meeting with the guy. He gives me the walk through the building, and I'm kind of familiar with the building already a little bit. And then we start talking rent, and the price for this rent is actually lower than the price for the rent in the smaller location. And I was like, wait a second, what, like, are you sure? Like you can make money with this place? And he says, no, like, I'm not really concerned about making money with it. I just need this to pay the bills, and I'll be good. I don't need to make money. And I was like, listen, I want this to work for you. Like, I want this place to work for you. Like, I understand that you have to make money, and I'm okay with that. I want it to work for everybody. This isn't going to work if you're not happy with it in the end. And he said, no, this is the price. He like doubled down and insisted, this is the price that I want. I don't want to do any more than that. Like, would you come at that price? And I was like, I think you got yourself a deal. And so I was really excited. I text the group, and said, oh my gosh, like, this could really work. And so that's when the ball really started rolling on the location. And then I guess what happened from there? I'm trying to think.
So then we've just
we're thinking similar to Blackjack's, or maybe the same name at that point.
Possibly the same name, which is fine because the building itself still says King of All, just in Latin, and so I'm fine with that. But it was really cool because we signed for the building. It's in our price range of what we wanted, and it wasn't actually more. I mean, it wasn't actually less. It was just a little more than the small building, but more square footage, and so
like way more square footage.
Correct. Yeah. So, but then as we're just really praying, we're just kind of like, what do you want this thing to be named? Is this going to be Blackjack's Stephenville? And
because we've got this dream, and we're going to the square, which is just weird. We would have never expected to go there.
Like, we've looked at places like on the Loop or things like that, but yeah, it's on the square like your dream. And then it was called King Coffee. And then it says King of All on the deal. And then the logo was what?
It was a crown.
Yeah.
It was this decal on my car.
And then we looked up Stephenville. Like, Stephen means crown.
Yeah. Stephen means crowned. Like Stephenville in the Rexall building.
Yeah.
And then we have this weird dream that says King Coffee.
It's like someone's trying to tell us something.
It's like, if we ignore this at this point, like, what are we doing?
Well, and at that time, the news is just so turbulent. Like, we're in an election year. It's just like, don't be stupid. Like, everything's going to pot. We're going to war. I mean, I think that was kind of the headlines for a little while. And like at this point. And, for me, it was like, do I make this big investment? Is this smart for us in this season where we're at as a nation? Like, ugh. And it was just like, I would go back to, but I had this dream. And I could not make any of this come together. In fact, I wasn't trying to orchestrate any of it. I shelved it.
Yeah, you were really hands off, even with the name. I feel like you didn't push it.
But then when it came to really deciding, it was important to me. Not that we named it King Coffee because I had this dream, but because each of our stores, so Lingleville Country Store it's Lingleville's. It belongs to Lingleville, and it belongs to the community, and it is the community that supports it. Our revenue, it doesn't come from people coming out of other towns to come here. It's our community that supports it. And I feel like Blackjack's is on Blackjack Street, and Dublin owns that shop. That's their shop.
Yeah.
And it has its own identity. And And so I really wanted Stephenville to take ownership, and I love it's the Rexall. It's kind of orangey, but it's really like an orangey gold color, and the royal blue, which is like Stephenville's color. It has the crown, which is in the Stephenville name, and then
there's just so many.
And
things.
so I just really want, sometimes when you go into smaller towns, it's hard. You can get critiqued hard. And we really wanted to show up in Stephenville to be like, we're wanting you to take ownership in this. We want this to feel like this is your place, because it is. And so
that's really what we've tried to do with Lingleville and Dublin, is to make it theirs. I mean, Blackjack's came off of Dublin Dr. Pepper closing down, and Dublin basically losing its entire identity.
Yeah.
And we just said we want to give Dublin something that they could be very proud of.
Yeah.
And so that was our goal in creating that place, is to give them something really good that Dublin just lacked. It just this like high standard of great coffee.
And I think that what also that we wanted to do, not so much in Lingleville because there's not a lot of other businesses, but in Dublin, is to bless the businesses around us. Like, we want you to go shop at the store next door and get a great coffee on your way in, so you have something to sip and do as you're looking at stuff, And so our heart for the square in Stephenville is a lot like that.
Yeah.
It's similar.
And so coming into it, it didn't make any sense whatsoever not to name this place. I mean, all the reasons that we have aren't business reasons. So we have all these like great reasons that we're like, we have to name this place King Coffee. But then on the other hand, you have all the marketing reasons to keep it. We have a business that's been open for 3-4 years.
Yeah, we're starting all over.
And it's, now it's time to make another one and branch out and then expand upon that name. So that was what we were initially going to do. And then all this stuff comes up about the Dream and Rexall and Stephenville and Crowned. And it was just like, we have to name it King Coffee. Like we have to make a hard business decision and go with it. And I really feel like in making that decision, it was our leap of faith to say, Lord, this is in your hands. We're giving this to you. You have never steered us wrong so far. How could we possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
With saying yes to something that we believe that you're doing.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I just think God just blesses stuff like that so much when we just honor what he's been doing. And so that's our heart behind this whole coffee shop and the whole reason that we're moving in.
Yeah.
And I really feel like it's a bigger picture as well, because even us naming the coffee shop with the location and with the city, it just says so much to the community in our eyes to say, like, this is yours. Yeah. Like, this is Stephenville's place. This is something that they could say, check this place out. This is where I want to take you in town to show you our city,
Our hope is to come along the people on the square, and they're already working to like revitalize the square and the downtown. And so our hope is just to kind of come along and partner. We've got some ideas for that. Sarah can tell you some of what we're looking at and dreaming about. So
yeah, and really just being, I guess, a presence on the square, and really bringing people, like, hopefully being open later than our other locations, and saying like, hey, because like there's a ton of really nice restaurants there on the square, and then being like, hey, we're open later after you get done with dinner, come over, watch a live band,
Yeah.
And really just being a place a Stephenville place, not just, oh, they have that restaurant in Granbury too, or in Fort Worth too. This is just in Stephenville. This is just Stephenville's,
Yeah. And we want to be complementary to the other businesses that are already there. So like at Lingleville and at Blackjack's, we do pizza, but there's 2 great pizza places on the square. we won't do pizza at King Coffee because we want to be complimentary to them. So it's like, go get some good pizza at Cam's or BJ's and then come down and have an ice cream and a coffee and listen to some music or meet with a friend. So we are so excited about all that's coming down the pipe with King Coffee. Yeah.
So check it out, King Coffee. If you live in Stephenville, you're going to want to come see us. I think by the time this podcast comes out, we should be open. So I just want to tell you that we're so looking forward to what God is going to do through our coffee shop in Stephenville. And we don't know what that's going to look like, but we're just kind of along for the ride and what he has for us. So we're just surrendered to him. And we just want to invite you guys to come along on that ride with us. And then also, we just want to give you guys something that y'all can be super proud of and just something that you can enjoy with your friends. So come check out. Oh, go ahead.
No.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just blesses Stephenville. You know, like we want to be a blessing to that town. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So come check out King Coffee, Stephenville, Texas.
Downtown on the square.
We'll see you there.